It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have another forum post that I wanted to actually cover to talk about this particular topic. And anybody who's actually been playing any killer or is a killer main will understand that this will be a very interesting topic for us to discuss, especially because of how ridiculous that it is. And as you can see from the very top, it says behavior has to stop catering to killer mains. My initial thoughts when looking at this post was, in what way are they actually doing that? Because if this were accurate or true, I don't think a lot of killer players would be collectively having a bad time, uninstalling, quitting, disconnecting, and obviously taking into account the escape rates, taking into account the kill rates, taking into account the different nerfs and that had actually arrived for a lot of things, as well as the base kit bonuses that the survivors have been receiving, do add on to a lot of the pain points that killer players are experiencing. And I mean, we could talk about the additional 5 seconds to their base kit borrowed time after unhooks, the additional time on hook as well being added in. There is also the addition of more perks that add to gen speeds that we've even received in the recent Stranger Things sort of chapter. Just to name just a few. So gen speeds are even faster than ever before, or as if they weren't fast enough. You name it, right? And it just continues to happen. I mean, even some killers that were pretty high tier were also receiving nerfs, like Ghoul or even Dracula had add-on passes that reduced all his add-ons to about a 5% bonus. So I'm really sort of curious as to how it is that they're catering to killers, even though that they've received so many nerfs, no bonuses, no buffs, no nothing at all. So I'm really curious to read this. So let's go ahead and actually get into it. So they say, beyond the long drawn out thing this will cause, the devs need to stop only caring about the killer player base, which like I've said, I'm very confused as to how that is, or why how they came to that conclusion. They say understand that they will not name the numerous big streamers or content creators that are only killers, even though some claim both sides, which is not entirely true. Some of the biggest content creators are survivor players. I mean, let's look at Puffalo, Mish, Odds, Hens, stuff like that. All these people are playing survivor very consistently, stuff like that. Just to name like 4 creators that either are only survivor or play both. So that's not really true. They say watch their content, they end up showing bias. Okay. They don't really get into detail as to how. They say truth last year, 2025, killer got FNAF, Ghoul, Krasu the first. Okay. So congratulations, a chapter released. Okay. They said with some of those there were random survivors thrown in. Okay. That doesn't really, that's not entirely true actually. There weren't random survivors. We actually received Dustin 11. We got I forgot the other guy's name, who was also a really fan favorite for Stranger Things. Krasu had also gotten V, which people absolutely loved. They love V personally, at least from what I've seen personally. A lot of people play her. The perks are really strong for Survivor as well when V dropped. FNAF and Ghoul didn't actually get any survivors though. But I think before that we already had Aurella, so that was already like a good amount of like healing bonuses on those perks too, as well as like some, like, I think Deep Wound got nerfed at that point. There was like some other stuff that got changed, so like around when Aurella dropped. So that's not entirely accurate either. They say survivors got a dumpster fire of a Walking Dead update, so that's not true because it actually affects both sides. Both sides were experiencing bugs and issues. So already they like to claim that there's bias, but yet they're being biased right now. They're saying survivors got, they didn't say everyone got. So it's already off the bat they are showing their clear bias. So they say one so terrible that the devs were hacked out of their star guest stream. So no. Not entirely true. I think they got DDoSed actually, to be fair, potentially, I'm not sure. Can't remember. Also, they should listen to odds as much as I am survivor sided, which they claim. So as you can see right there, they're showing that their clear bias is there. So you can pretty much take everything they say with a grain of salt. It's really not relevant as to what they have to say because of the mere fact that they are saying directly that they don't care for killers, because they are saying they as much as I am survivor sided. So they're saying it right there. They say odds. The poster above DVD told them how to fix it. They insulted his efforts, but did in true behavior fashion apologize, but nothing changed. 1 year for state of the game, or health of the game, or whatever it was titled. Behavior came with ideas, but dude, so sure, like yeah, the state of the game was bad, the health of the game was bad. That's fine. They say then due to killer made complaints, ignored all of it, which is I don't know how that makes any sense. They also never gave an example. They say behavior did extremes, showing how bad tunneling and such was, but due to the one side scrapped an entire year's worth of effort. So as you can see, like I said, like, you know, posts like these pretty, I usually look at these because it's funny, for me personally, because it's a lot of just yip yap, you know what I mean? It's a whole bunch of just like nonsense, hogwash. It's a whole bunch of garbage, like just a bunch of garbage, because they are saying that essentially because killers complained, which yeah, like they should have, the updates were horrible, like they were terrible, game breaking, even extremely exploitable. Like there was nothing in that update that offered anything positive for the killer side in that sense, because as much as you're like, oh, you're getting these nice little bonuses, if you stray past the line, there's no flexibility. It made it super streamlined and super boring, and it was extremely exploitable, especially with the elusive like that they had or whatever, where you could just phase through people. So you could just go through somebody and chase and then slam the pallet down pretty much free of charge. You really didn't have to do anything. A lot of things in there, but you know, with people like these, they tend to ignore the facts. They don't look at data, they don't look at evidence, they don't listen to anything that people have to say, unless it's specifically just a survivor crying about the same things that they're crying about. So it's really not like a genuine take, if that sense. They don't care about the balance of the game. So they say state of the game or whatever the title became 12 months of nothing. Okay, so DVDs a $20 game should not require price of admission. Okay, I mean that's just a random take. Plus watching years worth of YouTube videos to play the game and have fun, which I mean that's its own thing, that's its own discussion. The community should be closer monitored. Killers who slug the whole team and do clearly toxic things would be banned, I guess. As you can see right here, would, like I don't know what, like this is what I'm talking about. I don't know where these people are coming from, man. I was today insulted for being the second to last and I'd rat it out. Okay, there's a level of toxic that behavior allows more than a hindrance to new people. Like, come on, buddy. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole bunch of just a bunch of yap. It's just a bunch of nonsense, bro. And then of course, you know, the resident, you know, serve main arrives to say, in my opinion, behavior knows best and always will know best. Our opinions have been passed along for years. It's been clear that we've rarely heard because of huge backlash if your nightmare erupts. So it's like, this is the thing, like you'll have like takes like these where that apply to both sides, right? Then they sign it out with, oh, but killer is the only thing that matters. It's like, what are we talking about? And the thing is like when I see takes like these, I'm like, where's the evidence though? Because like when we're talking about how killer has needing and help, like they need help. A lot of low tier killers in this damn game. A lot of like fairly bad experiences. A lot of killer anxiety going around. A lot of unfun experiences. 5-minute games. And we have evidence and videos and clips and screenshots and all these kinds of things to show for it. And then we read something like this and it's just like just a bunch of blah blah blah. Oh yeah, because I'm right because I just said it. It's like, so it's like and as you can see, they like I always tell you guys, they fart in each other's faces, right? Look right here, gave you props, thanks. That's what they do. This is what I was telling you guys in other videos. They like to do that. They'll go ahead and echo chamber and just like huff each other's farts, bro. At that point, they sit there and really it just drop doodle and they sit there and they consume it. They don't actually sit there and think outside of the box, outside of the cave that they're putting themselves in of bias. Like they don't think outside the box. They don't provide evidence. They think because they said it, therefore it's right. And then it's like, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. So this person right here says, you are evidently mistaken. Survivors keep receiving changes that artificially boost their odds of survival, which is very true. And this person says also, to add on to what the last person said, they said that survivors can leave without penalty the moment they hit the ground. Killers have to endure for 2 minutes while survivors can teabag at the exit gate with no privilege of free leaving. Swift hasn't been addressed for 10 years, and the devs favor survivors is hard proof of that, which is true, unfortunately. Because, like, I mean, we can literally go over the patch notes, like, plenty of times. You can definitely look at least recently. There's been a lot of changes to Survivor, like stuff that really has been helping them with escape rates, as we've seen. Like I've said, like, they've released a lot of these gen speed bonuses, Vigil got changed, healing perks got buffed. There's also the hook timer, the base kit borrow time increase, the additional time of the, what do you call it? The also, if you consider the slugging automatically gets filled up now, so like you don't even have to press the button to actually fill your recovery meter, it fills automatically. Like, there's a lot of things that are just in the game for you, right? It's there, it's all there. So it's just really strange to me that, like, for some reason they just kind of forget that these things happen. So yeah. And then of course this person likes to, like, bring out some nonsense. I'm not gonna read it, it's just a bunch of slop. So Skeleton, let's go. He says, if it's a party game, then why is the killer treated like they're a part of the party, like away from it? Yeah. They say, why are the killer side and survivor side separated? Party games include everyone, regardless of what side they play. There's a custom game, but they gives no credit for playing it. This isn't a party game; it's a PvP game. If the devs stop listening to one side, that side leaves. Variety is everything in a party game, and Daredevil, and DVD has no variety. Most of the killers are rather weak or unplayable, while your party is having fun or treating one person on the other side like there's nothing at all because they hurt your feelings in a video game, which is a good point. And yeah, like, that's mainly what I've been talking about when discussing this topic. It's like, they like to say it's a party game, and it is, right? It at the core, right? It's a party game, you could say, right? But the thing is that it's a little bit far removed from what a party game, at least to a lot of people, would look like. Like, to me, a party game would be like Uno or Monopoly or something like that. Jack's, what was it called? Was it Jack in the Box? Something like that. You know, stuff like that, where you just load in and you're just there to, like, have fun with the game with your friends. And I think that because of its asymmetrical nature, you're actually getting two different kinds of like players and two different kinds of experiences. Because I think on Survivor, it is a party game. Like, you're loading up with your friends, you're just yapping about whatever and moving around and trying to run from a scary killer. But I think for Killer, it becomes a PvP game, because you're like, I'm soloing against 4 people. I'm having to find a build that will work with my killer and work against what the other side is bringing. And they all have communication, so I'm gonna have to figure out some way to be unpredictable and also be able to counteract everything they're bringing, and also have to work against, like, the map and blah 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 blah. I would say it's way less of a party for the killer side, and that's why a lot of people experience killer anxiety. You know, why a lot of Survivor players don't play killer, because of how stressful it can be. Like, we've already spoken to different people who either refuse to play it or have stopped playing it, stuff like that, and they all say the same thing: that it's very stressful to play killer. And it's really interesting, because on Survivor, I would imagine it's way less stressful, right? Because you can kind of point at your teammates and go, well, they messed up, so therefore I lost, or our team lost. But like with killer, it's like, you make one mistake and it's like, you, at the end of the day, you know you made the mistake, and it's like, you can't blame anybody else, it's just you. So it's like even more pressure on your mental, because you have to do that. Yeah. This person says, this sounds like you and many others are not respecting the fact this is a PvP game. I'm not sure if you're aware, but in PvP games, the players are supposed to compete, trying to defeat each other. The type of experience you're after resides in titles like Left 4 Dead. If you enter any form of PvP game, you should expect the other players will try to beat you. If you're concerned about being matched against players above your skill bracket, MMR will sort you out as long as there are enough players in the queue pool. And if you don't get matched against that higher bracket killer, instead of folding your arms, calling them sweaty, and scheming for extra boosts, try treating it as an opportunity to improve your survival game instead, which is a very true. And this is something I always point out. You already know because I just looked at it right as I finished reading it. Look at the response that you get. They didn't address anything that was said. They didn't actually give evidence. They did not give their opinion. They didn't say I disagree. They just say, oh, it just the killers showed up, so you know, oh my goodness, you're the problem. Like, they never address or even make a conversation. They pout, cross their arms, get mad, cry. Like, they don't actually want to create a conversation around these things. They don't want to actually talk about these things. They only want to speak with other people who agree with their one-sided, illogical takes. And that's just how it goes. Because notice that when killers are offering evidence, right, like, and it may not have like the most thick amount of evidence in the game, but they provide some examples that can be searched, or survivors can leave without penalty. What does that mean, right? The abandoned mechanic, right? 2, killers can endure for 2 minutes while they bag at the exit gate, so meaning killers don't have an abandoned mechanic unless all the other survivors have already left the match. Then you can abandon. Or unless the survivors don't do the gen for about, what is it, 10 minutes, something like that. Swift, obviously, everyone knows what a Swift is, and the death save for survivors, there's proof of that. There's more evidence in the patch notes, in the videos, in this and that. Like, there's, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what people do. Versus this response where it's just a bunch of crying, yapping, getting mad, blah blah blah. Like, it doesn't have any evidence. It doesn't have any examples. It's just saying these statements, but there's nothing to prove it. Like, it's just their opinions. So it doesn't make any sense. We're arguing facts versus opinions. Like, it doesn't really work that way. And then, of course, other people are responding with facts. They're like, hey, look, it's a PvP game because of this. People are going against other players. You're literally using different builds and things like that to actually compete with the other. You're trying to counter the other's things. Like, these are a part of what a PvP experience is, compared to Left 4 Dead, where you're literally having a team fighting against AI, right? Like, you know, fighting against bots or whatever you want to call it, NPCs, whatever, of the zombies, right? So that's what they're trying to say. So let's continue. So this is right here. So this is the us versus them attitude doesn't help anyone. I play killer more than survivor because it's the role I'm best at, but I want both roles to be enjoyable. Otherwise, the game doesn't work. And they say the game isn't fun for either role sometimes, which is something that I have been mentioning a lot. Like, I personally have not found Survivor very enjoyable anyway, and now Killer hasn't really been that fun either. So I sort of just haven't been playing the game. I'm like, what is the purpose of playing something I'm not enjoying? You know, in my free time, I should say. Like, what is the point of that? Like, that makes no sense. So let's go ahead and continue. They say being tunneled out at 5 gens is not fun. Being slugged for 4 minutes is not fun. Which, yeah, I mean, a lot of things in this game are not fun. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. You know, we have 2 different kinds of players that are trying to play against each other. You have the hyper casuals, and you have the people that enjoy competition. And unfortunately, those clash because you're either going against like Swifts that are sweatballing, bringing every type of gen perk, second chance this, second chance that, or you're either playing Survivor and you're going against the comp blight. You're going against the quad slowdown comp blight that wants to win. And they're like, either way, it's like both sides are gonna have a bad time because it's both sides are kind of like going against the other thing, and it doesn't really work. And it makes sense, you know what I mean? And it ends up in that cycle that I always mention, where it's like, because somebody starts sweating, usually you'll get somebody who wants to sweat in response, and then it keeps creating more people trying to sweat more than it is people trying to just play the game to enjoy it, which is really up to the person playing the game. They say going against a ghoul with corrupt painter as surge DMS every other game is not fun, which, like I've also stated, that's just a symptom of how the game has evolved. Going against survivors of 4 identical meta builds every game is not fun. Yeah, which that also is very true. Losing 3 gens in the first chase because you didn't bring corrupt and they brought nuclear powered toolboxes will state how hyper focus is not fun. Getting loot for 5 minutes because the map is bad and or the killer you're playing is S tier is not fun. Getting flashed every time you pick up a down survivor because they're in comms with each other is not fun. Like, he's just listing everything. So much stuff that sucks about like when you play this game. It's very true. They say survivors pre-running holding W in a straight line to the nearest window pallet on repeat is not fun. Getting teabagged at the exit gates for 2 minutes is not fun. Having a survivor DC or give up at 5 gens because it got down early is not fun. Only winning because solo survivors lack crucial information or make stupid mistakes and not because you actually outplayed them is not fun. Experiencing detrimental bugs that have been in the game for 3 years is not fun. Badam is not. Yo, the list goes on, but it's so true. It just keeps going. It's so true. Recognizing the current system same points for survivors, especially solo survivors and more casual players, does not mean denigrating or vilifying killer players, not least because there's substantial overlap between the two categories. Very well said. Now, unfortunately, when it comes down to a lot of people within the community, they're not interested in having this conversation. They're not interested in having this sort of response to this take, or even taking in this take, right? Or even reading this, because, you know, they lack a lot of reading comprehension. So there's really no way or rhyme or reason that they would even take the time out to read any of this, or even try to sympathize with it if they decided to do so. They are only interested in statements that are one sentence long, maybe two, that say a bunch of slop and opinionated garbage instead of actually giving facts and evidence to prove their points. That's the only thing they're interested in, unfortunately. We could be having a good conversation. We could be. But they're not interested in doing that. The person says you claim about toxicity, yet you come here and intentionally fan the flames of us versus them. Toxicity by demanding people be banned for doing nothing against the rules in the game. This kind of stuff is what's causing toxicity in the community, not how people choose to play the game within the rules, which is very true. So let's go ahead here. So they say, people say this, but the hard proof tends to be things like survivors getting a quality of life update before a major element of their play is nerfed and busted killer releases. So like I've said, notice that there's no evidence being provided. Like, look at the rest. They just say forum, flames, blah, 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 banning survivor game, gen immediately, blah, blah, blah. There's no evidence being provided. They keep bringing out opinions, but there's nothing to prove it. They're saying busted killer release. It's like, okay, which one? What update? Which character? What nerf? Like, what patch? Nah, nothing. Like, they say survivor was nerfed. Okay, so where's the nerf? Where's the patch? Where's the update? Which line of text are you reading? Like, they're not providing anything. So that's why I'm like, you can't really take these people at face value. It's just a whole bunch of junk. So, and that's right here, like, they also bring up some kind of random statement that has nothing to do with anything. They say if a survivor goes on a losing win streak, or they play in one evening, don't win a single one. Which, mind you, if you're going on a losing streak, it's possible because of solo queue. More likely than not, or it could be a skill issue with the Swifts, you know, as a total. They say a killer can win at least half or most. Which is like two different things. Like, we're not mentioning which killer is it, what time of the day is it, are they experienced with that killer, what is their MMR level. We're not taking into account any of the evidence. There is nothing there. So this person right here is talking about the whole pass along thing, which is what I was talking about. They said it's the biggest lie ever told. The entirety of 2025 was a huge failure because they're trying to promote their anti-change with offering nothing for killer in return, which is very true. As you saw actually in the follow-up PTB for the anti-tunnel, they removed all bonuses from killers while also trying to pitch the same exact bonuses for the survivors. And it was like, that doesn't make any sense. We weren't asking for them to remove those bonuses from the killers by giving you bloodlust, and that's all. Like, that was never a good change, because bloodlust is only applicable to what, 2 killers in the roster maybe at most, because every killer that is getting that bloodlust will immediately lose it on their power use. So they just made no sense, stuff like that. And I think they, like, it was just, it's just a bad time. Like, it's really just a bad time. It's really just terrible, like, with the kind of junk that we're seeing. He said they try to address tunneling and slugging while completely ignoring gen rushing and 4-man Sabo squad metas, which is also a good point. I wouldn't say the Sabo squad thing, I don't think that is super common, but either way, the gen speed always has been an issue, and I've spoken about it plenty of times. It has been a massive issue across the board. I mean, I can pick up a killer right now that I've never played on my list. I could say, let's say Krasu, because I never played her, I never bought her. I could probably do that. I'll probably walk in and have that same experience as if I was playing Ghostface with going against like a Swift, because of how crazy universal the gen speed has been. And that's only like hypothetical, but I do think it's possible, because if people across the board from different MMR levels, play styles, whatever have you, different mains, are all experiencing the same thing, that might have to be that it might be a problem. And because I've even seen it myself when even going into the Chaos Shuffle back in the time, like when there wasn't any perks to increase gen speed, and the match ended in under 5 minutes. So it's like, what the heck is going on in the game? Like, I was on Batum with Myers, by the way. Wasn't really sure what the hell happened there. But anyway, so they say the only thing they were going to be offering killers was unique hook benefits. By the end of their attempt of a help update, they were planning on only giving Bloodlust and BP, two completely useless things for a trial. Very true, very true. Because they at first I thought the pop was nice. I thought that the haste was nice. I was like, these are good things. Like, we should have this. But next to that was the ridiculous amount of bonuses that the survivors were getting. You had to fresh hook everyone the entire match. You could not kill anyone. And if you decided to kill somebody, oh, well, looks like you're locked out of the gens, so you can't kick them, you can't damage them, you can't look at them. And then you lose the game for free because you decided to stray from the path. And then they were able to then use that free endurance that they were getting, and they knew that they could not be killed. They knew that they would be able to do that, so they would exploit it by getting in your way, getting down, picking themselves up again with the anti-slug, and just continue to do that for the entire trial. And there was just no way to really counter it because they're constantly going to follow you around and prevent you from getting downs in the first place. And mind you, because of the anti-slug, they didn't have to be picked up. They could pick themselves up, so that means that they don't have to actually get off of the gens, therefore completing the gens even faster. So it's like, it's just terrible. They wanted to give survivors free unhooks, free unbreakables, free stealth and endurance for being unhooked, all while locking the ability to progress gens if the killers played in a certain way. All while the pallet density update was happening in the background, and they were planning on nerfing the best killers too. It's barely been a year and everyone's already forgetting this mess. Yeah, it's crazy how well, I can't say like everyone's forgetting. I will say that like with people that hold these kinds of opinions, like what we're seeing here, they deliberately ignore facts, they deliberately ignore evidence, they deliberately ignore these things. That's what they do. So the problem is that they'll use that as some kind of evidence. Oh, it got canceled, so that means it's killer side. It's like, that's not evidence. Like, you have to look at why they canceled it in the first place. It's just canceled just because they don't like you. Like, that's dumb. The changes were ridiculous. Collectively, all of us were like, this is horrible. So then they continued. These changes didn't go live because behavior was too creatively bankrupt to think of any benefits for the killer. They were going to give numerous base kit benefits to one side, only offering brownie points to the other. It was a joke and going to be completely one-sided update, which is very true. And then of course, you know, they don't really have a good response. They just say a bunch of blah blah blah, doesn't actually say anything. They said banned the survivors for playing the game normally. Banned where? Like, where, buddy? And then this person says the anti-go next preventions were created to stop survivors from bailing out on other survivors at the beginning of the trial by killing themselves in the first hook. Or at least it brought the upside of stopping survivors from ending, you know, pulling the hook on the first hook, which was a well-received change. And then instead of acknowledging it, this was a pivot. But you can't argue with these people, man. You can't argue with these people. I've spoke about it plenty of times. We'll quickly read this and then we'll make our way out of here. Oh, actually, no, I'm gonna read this one too in a moment. That one looks pretty interesting. So they say, the game is heavily favored in favor of killer in a 1v1 situation, which is, I guess, yeah. I mean, you're supposed to, like I've said many times, you're supposed to, you know, go down eventually. That's how the game is designed. So, you know, regardless. So they say killer by design has to get the survivor. Just imagine each survivor will be the exact same level as the killer strength wise. 5 blues would be kind of normal in that case, and would probably the kill rates would drop into a bottomless pit. Yeah, but the game is not a 1v1. It's a 4v1. And this is the sad reality of the modern media, which leads to unrealistic standards and talking points. You see the new 110 million game, win streaks on perk and powerless trapper while standing 10 minutes AFK with 12 hooks with a 5 gen chase against a hacker, without using a single vault and pallet. Which, yeah, like, you know, despite the exaggeration, they're onto something. I nearly played the game for 5k hours, and most of the time I'm playing with friends because I feel hyper stressed while playing killer. And I can tell you something about their amount of time of escaping kind of gets boring. I live for the moments when I go for the impossible save and pull it off, and even it costs me my own life. So yeah, I mean, you're seeing it right here. Somebody once again is saying, look, I don't play killer. Like I'm struggling to play killer. It's stressful. Like, you know what I mean? I bring this up as much as people want to deny its existence, as much as people want to say it doesn't happen, it does. Like, come on now. Just because you don't experience it, congratulations, you have a great privilege. And I'm glad you're able to do that. Please enjoy it. But as for other people that have to experience it, they don't have that, so they're gonna have to figure out a way around it. That's just how life goes. You get rolled a bad hand sometimes. They say it's DVD balance. Heck no, there's a way to make things a way more balanced around. Do the devs cater to one side? They don't, which doesn't mean that every decision they make is a perfect one for each side. I would say that I wouldn't say entirely cater. Like, I just think they kind of dump a lot of changes on one end usually, and then it looks like it, but at this point I have no idea. I mean, we just kind of have to keep going, and hopefully the game can kind of move a little bit into a better direction. Which this person apparently got banned. They say that this will be my last post in the forum. The fact that divisive us versus them posts like this one, which trash posts I should say, are like totally fine and worthy content to stay posted, while we seem to regularly have long-standing forum members who actively contribute constructive feedback and productive decisions be banned or otherwise leave because they're destructive with this garbage, as well as truly pathetic. Which is, yeah, I mean, I've noticed that from time to time when I make these videos. So it says, I've come to the conclusion that despite stating the opposite, the mods and devs really don't care about addressing toxicity at all, because when they know it is a sick and twisted way, draws people in to their game along with their money. Which, I think it's hard to say. Like, I don't know for sure. I really don't have evidence to either or at this moment. I do know, like, monetarily though, like, survivors will make more money, so I know, like, they're like giving them more stuff is going to inevitably give you more profit, because there's just more players on Survivor, and there's more ways to make money on Survivor than it is killer. So that in itself I can understand. They say it's why they're totally fine with the community devolving into us versus them, tribalistic pissing match where people only play one side, are bad at the game, and refuse to improve themselves. Come to blame killer mains or Survivor mains for all their problems and demand nerfs to the side they don't like, which is also true too. You know, and that's why I've been trying to make these guide videos. I mean, it doesn't really have many views at all, really, at all. I mean, it's pretty much kind of pointless a lot of the time, but at least for the few that it will help is what I try to strive for. At least, you know, when I am able to do so, I try to make those videos, I try to put them up so people can at least learn something. Because unfortunately, the community we're a part, like that this game is a part of, or at least has created, is not interested in trying to, I know, on the grand, like in a grand scale, is not interested in like education, learning, like improving. You know, they're not about that, unfortunately. So I get it. You know, it's easier to complain and than it is to improve. So I understand it, but for the few that do, I still appreciate you guys, and I'm hoping that for the few that do end up watching those videos and want to improve and want to get better, that they will be able to get some value out of those videos. But yeah, so let's go ahead and continue. So say, if that is the kind of place they want the community to be, then I don't want to waste my time here anymore. Thanks for those of you who took the time out to look at the game from both sides, take a constructive and civil way, and truly want to make the game better for everyone and not your preferred main side. Don't know how or why you're managed to stay here, but glad you are. Wish you the best. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunately where the game is at right now. I think that it's just a lot of people in this community that really just don't lack a lot of reading comprehension, are very illogical, very emotionally driven, don't really want to actually, you know, look into why things happen in the game, or why the game functions the way it does, or why decisions are being made, or why anything. They just like to, you know, stick in their little bubble and stay there. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, because videos like these or discussions like these are to look at the angles here, like look at what another person has to say, look at what other people have to say, so we can get an idea of like what is it that people are thinking or saying, and try to offer like another perspective to it, or at least understand, because that's the only way we're really going to be able to accurately assess you know, perspectives and you know, the game as a whole, is by looking at what other people have to say at the end of the day, right? Because if we just sit around and repeating the same points over and over, we're not going to be learning anything. But if we look at what people have to say, if they're able at some point to provide evidence and provide something, you might be able to change somebody's mind. But currently, they really didn't do a great job of that. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think about the topic at hand today? And consider hitting the like and the sub. And if you really want to support, you can become a member on YouTube, Patreon, or even subbing on Twitch. I will see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off our members from Patreon. Pro King 101, YouTube members, Cargan Falcon, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cozy Bozy, Theo Endire, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. And for the Twitch, we have Final Girl Bunny, Leona Art, Zazabu, Evil Blade, Danica, Crow Vader, Cake is a Road, Zeneron, Ginsburg, Mr. Morik, Kevin, Zero Mocker, Ashai Boo, and Gryffindor. Appreciate you guys supporting. Really means a lot. If you want to become a member, you can go ahead and join through Patreon or YouTube members, or even sub on Twitch. See you guys in the next one.